Now that you have refinished your piece and taken photos of it, it's time to sell it. A lot of people want to know how and where I sell my furniture, so let's get started. Which apps and websites work best for you is going to completely vary by person and by location. Some of these may not even be available or active in your area. However, I've noticed Facebook Marketplace and groups to be the best place for me to sell my furniture, especially in the beginning. As my social media following grew, I started to sell more on Instagram. I've also had some luck on Nextdoor, OfferUp, and 5 Miles app, and then in person when people come to buy other pieces. I often set all of my completed pieces in the same area, so when someone comes to pick up a piece that they've purchased, they'll see all of the other available pieces. I have had some pieces sell like that, and I've also had people request specific pieces and then reach out to me whenever I have those pieces come in. So you can begin to build a clientele whenever you're selling to people. Now, the key to selling things online is to create a great and detailed listing. You can't leave anything out. You want to make sure you have all of the information there. Not only does this help the buyer know if they want to purchase or not, but it is also going to cut down on the number of messages that you get asking for details that you've already given. Now, keep in mind, you will always get those annoying messages asking for the measurements when they are in the post. You'll always have those, is this available messages, but these will help. Like I said earlier in the course, on Facebook Marketplace, it is all about the algorithm. You want to use a title that uses the style, such as farmhouse or mid-century modern, keywords such as coffee table, and if you're using an end table, use end table and side table in the listing. Use the color. Use anything that may be searched on Facebook Marketplace to find something similar to what you have. Always include measurements. Measurements from the width, length, height, maybe even the measurement of the inside storage. With and without the mirror, include as many measurements as possible. Specify any damage or issues, even if they are minor, because they may create an angry buyer later if it's something that they didn't realize was there. If there are any additional storage, adjustable legs, if the inside of the drawers are lined, hidden compartments, definitely clarify those. Make sure that you include potential uses for the item. If it's an end table that could also be used as a nightstand, make sure to clarify that. If it is an entryway table, it could also be a coffee table. So make sure you clarify these so it helps every buyer picture it in their home, even if they weren't specifically looking for that item. You also want to use comparable items with higher prices. So do reverse image searches on Google and Pinterest to find similar items at higher prices and include those screenshots. This will help the buyer picture a higher demand and a higher value in your item, and it will help it sell faster. You always want to clarify the condition of the piece, the pickup details, location, time. Make sure to include cross-posted if you have posted it across multiple apps or Facebook groups. And speaking of which, make sure you're following the group rules for each Facebook group because some are very strict on cross-posting. Always include your payment options. I highly recommend setting up as many payment options as you can. Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, accept cash, accept Facebook Pay. Anything you can accept is great. PayPal is another great option. I don't accept check or credit card, but everything else I pretty much do accept. And make sure that you're using apps that the person cannot come back and, refund the money. And lastly, if you are completely not open to negotiations, be sure to put firm pricing or no lower offers accepted in the description. If you are open, you can always say terms like or best offer or best reasonable offer. Personally, I don't put those in until I've had the piece for an extended period of time and I'm ready to get it out the door. Lastly, I didn't include this on the slide, but always include multiple pictures from every possible angle, up and down. Now, sometimes your piece just will not sell as quickly as you're wanting, so there are several things you can do here. You can always accept lower offers or lower the price, but I do recommend holding off on this at least a few days to give the people a chance to find the piece and purchase it at full price. You can also post it to new groups and apps, such as the ones that I've shown you in previous lessons. You can also renew it in Marketplace, which bumps it to the top of Marketplace, or bump it in groups, which just means you comment the word bump and it renews it. You can also repost it with a new description and new pictures. If your picture doesn't have great lighting or it's not staged very well, if your staging, such as your decor, does not match the style of the piece, if it's a farmhouse piece and you're using very modern decor or vice versa, it's going to kind of throw off the whole aesthetic and people may not be able to picture it in their homes. And lastly, unfortunately, you may just have to learn from this experience. Perhaps this is a piece that is not going to sell well in your area. Remember to always be doing research on these apps, on Facebook. Look at what is selling well and what is not. Remember what styles have sold quickly for you in the past and what colors have sold quickly for you in the past. And sometimes you may be stuck with a piece for a while and you may have to lower it beyond what you were comfortable or wanted to lower it to. But it happens sometimes. It happens to me as well. You have to learn and go with it. If it comes to it, you may have to lower the price of your piece. This will depend on the urgency you have to get it out the door, the quality of the piece, whether or not it's real wood, any damage, things like that, what your minimum offer is, how much space you have, things like that. So this won't always apply to you. You may have to do it quicker or, slower, whatever you're comfortable with doing. Over here on the right, I break down what I personally do to decrease the price when needed. If it's a cheaper item, I'm firm. Then I'll go up $5, $10, $20. And if it's a really expensive item, talking $200 to $300, I may even go down $50 if the piece hasn't sold in quite a few days or even weeks. If you're new to buying and selling online, there are probably some terms that you have never heard of, and I don't blame you because some of them are very strange. Let's break down what each one means. My son thought that was funny. I don't know if you can hear him in the background. He's very, very loud this morning. The first is PPU. This could mean one of two things, so I always clarify it on my posts. Porch pickup, which means you will be picking it up from my home, or pending pickup, which means someone has already claimed it, but I'm making sure they're going to come. The next is OBO or OBRO, which means or best offer or best reasonable offer. This, of course, is saying if you want to make an offer, I will probably accept it as long as it is reasonable. Next, we have CP, which means cross-posted across multiple platforms, apps, things like that, to let people know just because it hasn't been claimed on this piece doesn't mean it's still available. Then bump just means that they have pushed the post to the top of the group. It's a way of saying this is still available. I need it gone. Please see this. Please buy it. The next is in search of, ISO. That just means the person isn't selling an item. They are looking for that item. Now these EUC, GUC, NWT, and NWOT describe the condition of an item. It either means excellent use condition, great use condition, new with tags, or new without tags. And then the last is PM or DM, which means private or direct message. You can ask people to please PM or DM you for details or to purchase, but I never recommend you asking them to message you for the price. Post that on the listing. I get asked almost daily, do I have to clarify if it has been refinished? You don't have to. I do not. I don't want to take up that space in my listing and make the reader have to make the buyer have to read through a paragraph of how and what I use to refinish this piece. I stand by my quality, so I don't feel like it's necessary for me to do. Now, if the buyer asks, of course, I'm going to be honest about that. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just not putting unnecessary information on the listing that's going to potentially distract the buyer or make them think that, I'm upcharging or something like that, because I'm truly not. I'm charging what I know my piece is worth.